talk about place value, and I'm going to show you a little trick that might help you with all sorts of different type of math. We've always been taught that place value goes ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, 10 millions, 100 millions, so on and so forth. And we've always looked at each place value as its own separate number. Today, I'm going to show you a trick where you can group some of these numbers together to have chunks of place value. Now, when you looked at this traditionally, hundreds, tens, and ones, you may have even seen these types of pictures before, where 100 is represented by a block of 100 little squares or 10 rods shoved together. Tens are these individual rods of 10 squares, and then ones are these individual little squares, in which case 135 would be one block, 3 rods, and 5 little squares. Well, what would happen if I took this block and separated it into its 10 individual rods? Now I would have something very different. I would now have 10 rods from this block and 3 rods here, so altogether I'd have 13 rods. Now I know a rod is worth 10, so what I've done effectively is taken 103 tens and put it together to make it 13 tens. And then those 5 ones stay the same because I'm not doing anything with ones. What I'm trying to show you today is that you can take the place value that you're looking at and clump everything to the left of it together with it so that you have a larger chunk to play with. This is nice because now I can think of it as 13 tens. If I want to take away a 10, I would have 12 tens. If I want to add some tens, I could have 14 tens, 15 tens, and so on. And it's really nice when you have like 11 tens and you want to back up to 10 tens and 9 tens. It helps you to, as you add or subtract new place value. So what I want us to do today is to think about how we can think about place value differently. So I have some problems. Originally, when you would look at this problem, how many tens are in 873, you would probably think ones, tens, hundreds, and you'd probably tell me that there are 7 tens, and that would be totally fine. What I want to do today is to stretch your thinking. If you take the tens place value and take everything to the left of it, take those squares and break them up into their rods, I want you to see that it's not just 7 tens, but you could actually think of it as 87 tens, and that would be totally correct as well. This might help you when you're adding or subtracting. Let's look at this next one. If I want to know how many hundreds are in 1,962, you could do the traditional way, ones, tens, hundreds, and tell me that there are 9, and that would be fine. But I want to stretch your thinking. Instead of just thinking of it as 9 hundreds, take everything to the left of it with it. So now I can tell you that there is actually 19 hundreds as well, and that would be correct as well. There is 19 hundreds, 6 tens, and 2 ones. How many tens are in 9,281? Well, the traditional way we would say ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. Here's my tens, so there are 8, and that would be fine. But if I wanted to stretch my thinking and really get a group of tens, I would take everything to the left. So this is going to be a huge set of tens. I take the 9, the 2, and the 8, all of those numbers, and I could tell you that there is actually 928 tens in that number. There's 928 tens and 1 1. How many thousands are in 7,283? Well, the traditional way would say ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. There's 7. Now, even if I tried to stretch my thinking here and group them together, there is nothing to the left of this 7. So all I can really put in that box is just the 7 because I can't go to the right. It always has to go to the left. And so there's still only 7 thousands. I can't clump anything together for this one. How about this next problem? How many thousands are in 945? Here's my ones, tens, hundreds. I never said thousands. My thousands would be over here and there's nothing in it. So are there any thousands in 945? Nope, there's 0. Can I put a box around anything? Nope, there is no number to put a box around. There's nothing to the left to include in it. There is no thousands in 945. How about this last one? How many hundreds are in 198,655? Well, that's a big number. I have my ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000, 100,000. I said hundreds when I was in the 6. So my traditional way of thinking would be to say that there are 6 hundreds, and that's correct. Could I make a group, though? Which way would I box in? Should I say 655, or should I say 1,986? If you said go to the left and put these numbers in the box, you'd be correct. You started the place value you're looking at, so my hundreds place value, that goes in the box, but then everything to the left of it also goes in the box. So if I really wanted to group some together, I could actually say that there's 1,986 hundreds in this gigantic number. There's also 5 tens and 5 ones, but there are indeed 1,986 hundreds in 198,655. So I want to see if you've caught on to this pattern. Can you figure out how many tens, hundreds, and thousands are in these numbers? You can start by looking at the traditional way, but I do want you to try grouping them to the left. Anything to the left of that place value can get included in there so you have a larger chunk. Go ahead and get a whiteboard, copy these numbers down, and I want to see how you put your boxes around them. You're going to need to pause the video to do that, and then when you're ready to check your answer, you can push play again. Go ahead and pause now. Okay, welcome back. Let's check our answers. How many tens are in 82? Well, here's my ones, here's my tens place value. So your traditional way of thinking should say 8. Now, if I wanted to think of it in a group, I would take that 8 and include anything to the left of it. Well, there is nothing to the left of it, so it's still just going to be 8. The only answer for this one would be 8. How many hundreds are in 9,802? Here's my ones, tens, hundreds, so my traditional way of thinking would say that there are 8 hundreds. Now, if I were trying to group it together into groups, I would start at the 800s, but then I could take everything to the left of it as well. So now I actually am showing you that there are 98 hundreds within this number. There are 98 hundreds, 0 tens, and 2 ones. How many tens are in 364? Well, I have ones, tens, so I could say that there are 6 tens, and that would be correct. But if I wanted to group it together into a chunk, I could actually take those 6 tens and everything to the left of it and tell you that there are 36 tens. There's 36 tens and 4 ones. How about this next problem? How many thousands are in 12,028? Well, I have ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. I could say that there are 2 thousands and that'd be fine. But if I wanted to make a bigger chunk, I would take that 2,000 and include everything, is it to the right or to the left? That's correct, to the left. And I could tell you that there is actually 12 thousands. 12 thousands, 0 hundreds, 2 tens, 8 ones. How many thousands are in 5,432? Well, the traditional way says ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, so there'd be 5 thousands. If you wanted to group it together into a group, you would start at that thousands and take everything to the left. Well, again, there's nothing to the left. So there's nothing for me to group together. I still only have 5 thousands in this number. And on the last one, how many hundreds are in 72,829? My traditional way says that there's ones, tens, hundreds, so there are 8 hundreds. But if I wanted to group them together so I could manipulate the number a little bit more easily, I could take those 8 hundreds and then include everything to the left of it as well, and find that there is actually 728 hundreds inside there, plus 2 tens and 9 ones. So you can see you can start with the place value it's asking you, thousands in this one, or tens on this one, and then include everything to the left of it so you have a larger chunk. Now the reason that this is helpful, let's say I had the number 993, and I wanted to know what was 10 more. I know that I'm going to be manipulating my tens place value, so I need to think about where my tens place value is. We know that this 9 here is my tens place value. Now I could add 10 underneath, but then I'm going to have to do some borrowing, I'm going to have to carry, it's going to take me a while. Instead, I could think of this as a chunk. Instead of just thinking of it as 9 tens, I could take that 9 tens and throw everything to the left as well. So I actually have 99 tens. If I have 99 of something and add one more of it, how many will I have? You're right, I'm going to have 100 of them now. So if I added another 10 to the 99 I already had, I would have 100 tens. Those 3 ones never got changed. Without doing any borrowing or carrying or any math of any variety, really, I figured out that 10 more than 993 is 1,003. Kids tend to make mistakes when they have to add on a new place value, So thinking of it in a group might simplify it for you. If this made sense to you, and if you got these answers correct with your boxes to your left, you can go ahead and move on to the next activity.